Well, 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 what do we have here? I think we have a live stream. Hi, Mary. Welcome from
Hi.
Vegas.
Well,
Uh,
welcome from
well,
Maine.
welcome from Maine, but yes, but you know what I mean. I'm constantly in a state of confusion. That nothing is new there, despite the fact that we are going into a new year. I rhymed here, year and there.
Indeed.
So,
So we have a question?
yeah, I'm working on it. I'm
Okay.
working on the question here. I just don't know how to interact with the thing anymore. They've changed the interface.
Oh, that's rude.
So, can you hear us all right, Mary? I hope that you can, because I haven't checked the sound, to be quite honest, and I'm hoping that it comes through.
I mean, the text is showing up fine, so it must be picking up on our voices.
Oh, do you have the captions?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
started auto turning on captions for me for
Oh,
some
good,
reason.
good. What was our question? Like,
How are you spending New Year's Eve?
yes, and
Options are going out, celebrating at home, and sleeping.
sleeping. Hey, welcome, Rana. Apparently, I was just saying that I'm in a constant state of confusion, and I've proven myself correct once more. And we'll add one more option as other,
Yeah,
because those surely aren't the only options for the poll. I should end the poll before anyone has a chance.
that would be rude.
And not at your residence and work, so very happy. Well, I'm happy to hear you're not at work either, and that you're here with us. So that's great.
Yeah, we'll be spending New Year's at home as well. We don't have any plans to go anywhere.
Mm,
Stay nice and cozy.
yes.
Oh, you should show everyone one of the things you got me for Christmas.
Yeah, Amber likes her little tiny spooks.
Yeah, so this is they just introduced the like mini Build-A-Bear Mothman. So I had the original size one, and then I got the giant one over the summer. And then Brian got me this little one for Christmas. So I now have the whole family.
Very good. Oh, not with your residence. I see. Okay. So you're probably working in medicine then. But let's actually go ahead and get started on the stories here. So our first letter is titled, Am I the jerk for leaving my bachelorette party because my friends hired strippers? What a way to start this one off. Hello, I know the title might sound dumb, but please bear with me. So I'm a 31-year-old female and I'm getting married in January. But my best friend, a 30s female, is going to be gone for most of the month and only able to come back for my wedding. So my friends decided to just throw my bachelorette party yesterday and get it out of the way. I was very specific about not wanting strippers because I know them and I know that they would do it just to prank me. They agreed, and they all made arrangements yesterday. We went to a little venue that they rented out, and everything was great. We were having fun, playing games, drinking, and so on. Around midnight, my best friend said, Oh, the delivery is here, and I didn't think much of it because I thought that it was food or something, but nope. Two men came in with her and the music changed and they said something that I didn't really hear and started dancing, and I was sitting there thinking about how to escape the situation, but they got closer to me and one of them grabbed my hand and made me touch his abs, I guess, his torso. And he was all sweaty and that was gross. And that grossed me out because I hate sweat and I didn't even want to grab my dad's hand when I was a kid if his hand was sweaty. So I just yanked my hand away and said, Wait, let me go to the bathroom first and I'll come back to prepare. And I left for the bathroom and they cheered, but were so busy entertaining themselves with the strippers that they didn't realize that I was literally gone. Well, today I woke up to two very angry voicemails, and texts about not appreciating the effort and money that they spent and how I'm a bad friend for abandoning them. I agreed to take two girls home, but when I left in a hurry, I forgot. And my best friend sent me a very long text saying that she is hurt and disappointed, and she doesn't know if she would come to my wedding if I don't apologize because I obviously don't consider her feelings when I ran away saying anything and without saying anything because she leaves today and I didn't even say goodbye. Well, I understand that they might be mad, but I feel like I made myself clear when I said no strippers. And I don't know if they thought that I was kidding or being uptight, and my fiance is glad I left because we agreed no strippers or anything similar. My sister is on my side, but I basically made half of my wedding party mad, and I don't know if I should just apologize to keep the peace because the wedding is literally next month, or my second option is to tell them to just go away, which I want to do because I'm still angry, and that would possibly ruin my friendships though. So am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. You made yourself clear. This bachelorette party is supposed to be celebrating you. You said, I don't want strippers. The friends being like, well, it looks like you don't care about me because you left without saying goodbye, blah, blah, blah. No, it's the other way around. She apparently doesn't care enough about OP to not put her in a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of couples, they can decide that they don't want like strippers or adult entertainment at their, bachelorette or bachelor parties, and that needs to go both ways, and if OP had done this, then that would have been violating her fiance's wishes and their agreement, right? And so I think that this is one of those situations where if someone says they don't want this at their bachelorette or bachelor's party, you really need to be respectful of that and consider their feelings. So I think that was very inconsiderate of the friends, and they're not really good friends if they are doing this anyways.
Exactly. They're not listening to OP, and OP was able to leave the party without them even noticing because they were so entertained. Like, they clearly did this for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to use OP's party as an excuse to have the strippers, and that's what it boils down to. And so honestly, like, if they don't want to come to the wedding over this, it's probably good riddance to bad rubbish.
They could have had an after party without OP if they really wanted this, right? I don't know. I still think that OP did the right thing, and I don't think they need to apologize.
Yeah.
I understand them being a little cautious and not wanting to like ruin the friendships, but also OP is the victim here,
Well,
not
exactly.
the person who's caused the problem. So
yeah, apologize for what? For having boundaries?
Mm-hmm. But what do the comments have to say?
So Rena says, not the jerk, and Mary says, not the jerk. It's not like she stormed out, made a scene, kicked the dancers out, just noped out. Class act.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of class act, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting to Keep My Engagement Ring from My Late Fiancé? I'm using a throwaway as I don't want any of this drama on my main Reddit, and I hope you all understand. I'm a 36-year-old female, and I lost my fiancé nearly 11 years ago in a car crash. We were both in the car, but I got out with only minor injuries while he died instantly. This messed me up quite a bit, and I was in and out of therapy and support groups for years over this. The support group is where I met my current partner, a 45-year-old male. He is a widower who lost his wife to cancer, and we understood each other's pain a lot and bonded over it. Well, 3 years ago, we started dating, and we moved in with each other last month. I've remained close with the family of my late fiancé since I lost him, and they were a great support to me in the first few years. However, his mom, a 61-year-old female, asked me last week for the ring that he gave me back since I'm now seriously involved with another man. She said that she wanted the ring to keep in the family and it would mean a lot to have. This upset me. The ring that he gave me wasn't a family ring, and it's a garnet and emerald ring that he picked out because those are our birthstones, and I didn't want a traditional diamond. We picked out the ring together, and he saved for months to get it for me. It holds a lot of beautiful memories for me, and it's even bittersweet. I'm now at the point where I can enjoy the good memories without too much pain. Me being in a relationship now doesn't mean that the ring is gathering dust in a drawer somewhere. I wear it on my right hand now, the same way my partner wears his ring. We both feel that it's okay to honor our lost loves this way, and neither of us have any jealousy or negative feelings over this. Heck, we have pictures of my fiancé and his wife on the wall of our living room. I told her that I could understand if it had been a family ring that he inherited, though that still would have made me feel a little weird to have her asking for it back, but it isn't a family ring even. It's my ring that we picked out together, and I plan to wear it for the rest of my life. She insisted that it should be back in the family, however, and that she wanted it as the last major purchase that he made before he died. I ended up hanging up on her as I was so upset, and I've been avoiding her calls since. My partner is angry on my behalf, and she even asked this and told me that she was being ridiculous and that I should wear the ring as long as I want to. I can't help but feel that I'm being punished for finding someone to make me happy, that I was supposed to mourn him in her eyes forever. Well, I've spoken to my parents about this to get their insight on it, and my mom feels that maybe I should just give the ring back to his mother and that she's clearly just hurting and wants to hold on to something of her son's. My dad, meanwhile, says that he can see both sides of this, and it's my choice. I don't know, I might be a bit too emotional over this. Am I being the jerk or being unreasonable here? Edit, a couple of people seem confused. My current partner is not my new fiance or my husband. I call him my partner because it feels at this age calling him boyfriend is a bit too humorous, as if he is young. If we are being technical, however, he is a boyfriend. We have only just moved in together, and I'm sorry if my wording caused any confusion. All right, folks, what do you think?
Definitely not the jerk. It is ridiculous that OP's former mother-in-law is asking for the ring back. That was never like, oh, well, it should stay in the family. This was bought by OP's late fiance for OP. Their family was the one they were creating together, not the one he had with his mom.
Yeah.
And so to keep it in the family means it stays with OP. His mom doesn't get to hoard this jewelry, like, oh well, it's the last major purchase that he, like, it feels like she just sees dollar signs. It's the last major purchase he made. I want to have it. Like, you could have sentimental attachments to things, but the fact that she's like, oh, it's the last major purchase he made, like, not like, I'd understand if she wanted sentimental items or something like that.
I mean, sentimental items would be understandable.
But she has no connection to this ring.
Yeah. And before I say something, I want to say welcome, sweet memories, and welcome, Jada. So we're happy to have you with us. The thing is, I think that you're right. I think that it seems a lot more like monetarily motivated than it does to be about wanting the sentimental thing. And maybe that's being cynical here, but I mean, I don't know. Like, they're asking for the last major purchase specifically, right? And it's not uncommon for widowers or people who are engaged to keep the engagement ring. I mean, especially since the engagement ring is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's usually a gift with like strings attached, like contractual obligations, where if you break off the really engagement, then you give it back. But if it's broken off for one reason or another, you keep it, right? I mean, like,
right. This was a circumstance outside of their control.
Mm-hmm. And this would be a traditional reason to keep an engagement ring, right? So this isn't like one of the traditional reasons to give an engagement ring back. So I mean, if OP had cheated on their partner and they had broken up and they hadn't returned the ring yet before, like, he passed away or something like that, I mean, I could understand the family asking for it back at that point in time.
Even there, it would be a little strange because it would go to him, but he's not there.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's a really complicated situation in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not even the situation.
No. I mean, we're fabricating situations to make it make sense, and it doesn't make sense. The important thing
is that it had nothing to do with his family. It was not a family heirloom. It's never been in his mom's hands.
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say?
So let's see. Rena says, let her take you to court for it. Nope. Mary says, mother-in-law sees money, keep that ring, not the jerk. And then Mary says, mother-in-law thinks that because it was given by a family member, it now becomes family property. Mother-in-law can picture how pretty the ring would look on her own grasping little fist.
Yeah. Speaking of how it looks on their fists, our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Filing a Spending Process Review? And my girlfriend responded, emotionally irrationally. So, dear Redditors, I need an assessment of my actions based on logic, not emotion. Context: my fiance, a 29-year-old female, and I, a 30-year-old male, have a long-term financial goals: buying a house in 5 years. My strategy is based on optimization and efficiency. I noticed that we weren't progressing as planned. I therefore undertook a spending process review, and I created a detailed report that not only tracked the expenses, but also categorized them based on their necessity. Scale from 1 to 5, where 1 was essential and 5 was superfluous. And emotional ROI, a subjective score, 1 to 5, on how much an expense contributed to long-term well-being, such as a training course, whereas an impulse purchase would have a low ROI. I spent several evenings defining these parameters and collecting data, even consulting our receipts for greater accuracy. I found that our average emotional ROI on discretionary spending was only 2.1, suggesting low effectiveness in fund allocation. I presented this report last Sunday afternoon during our usual weekly planning meeting, where we discussed commitments, meals, etc. I explained the methodology and the conclusions, highlighting that about 20% of our expenses fell into the low emotional ROI, high I can't speak today, superfluity category, and suggested that we should re-examine the expenses. I also showed that 3 of the 4 weekly ice creams that we bought fell into this category, total cost about €12 a week. Her reaction, she called my emotional ROI a robot measure and said that I was sucking the joy out of our life. She abruptly ended the meeting, saying that I'm too analytical and that I don't understand people. Joy is an emotion. I was evaluating efficiency. I don't see the negative correlation. Did I perhaps go too far in introducing a parameter like emotional ROI, even though I think that it was clearly defined? Or maybe I should have avoided using the term spending processes, which sounds too formal and domestic in a domestic context. All right, folks.
Yeah, OP, I think you, first of all, I think the biggest issue was that you did not sit down and discuss this with your partner. You are not an objective person. You are trying to make this objective, but you have subjective attachments to the different items on the list. So just because something doesn't have a lot of emotional ROI for you, how do you know it doesn't for your partner? And how do you determine the 3 of your 4 ice creams a week don't meet this? Like, that's one thing that baffles me, is like, one ice cream trip that meets that one's fine, but the other 3 don't meet the threshold. How is any one ice cream trip different from any other?
He wasn't invited on the other 3.
Okay. Like,
I don't know.
This is the sort of thing, is like, it's fine to want to analyze your budget and to try to come up with measures by which to analyze it. But the problem is OP is positioning himself as the expert and then passing the information on to his partner instead of them jointly coming up with a system.
Well, I think that's the biggest issue, is that he took it upon himself to come up with this metric. And the thing is, like, while OP wants to claim that this was like a rational approach, you can't, take qualitative things like that and turn them into quantitative measures, right? And I think that that's where he is really kind of out of line, right?
Yeah, especially on his partner's behalf, like not even asking for her input. It was just like, I can determine how emotionally valuable this is to our household.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can make up anything you want, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, right? And I think that he's confusing and himself. I think that he's confusing the idea of actually coming up with real measures. I mean, it's like those commercials that invent a metric in order to sell you a product, right? Like the purple mattresses, they had this whole like egg crushing metric where they're like, well, if you put an egg on our grid and push down onto it with a plate, then the egg won't crack, and that shows that our mattress is superior because we have this metric that we've invented to demonstrate to you that it is in truly a superior mattress. When
no one is bringing whole eggs to bed to like pad their mattress out with.
Well, exactly,
yeah.
Right.
Well, and like this little Mothman, mini Mothman, has a lot of emotional investment for me, not for Ryan. So like we would both have very different measures. Like if we were to emotionally rate how much this matters to our household, we would have different metrics for that.
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say?
So let's see. Mary says, I gotta admit, first, Jada says, emotional irrationality.
Yeah, I
Rana
know.
says, logic. Mary says, I gotta admit, OP sounds exhausting. I sure hope OP and fiance aren't writing their own vows. It'll be the first ceremony where the guests leave in mass. And then Rana says, positive and causing brain rot as usual. LOL, Mary. Yeah.
Speaking of having everyone leave the performance early, am I the jerk for not volunteering to the chaperone at my daughter's first ballet performance? And this isn't a great segue. I just thought that it worked in the moment, and then it doesn't. So there. This is my 4-year-old daughter's first year of doing ballet. She is in the Nutcracker as a mouse and a little princess. I had no interest in chaperoning because I wanted to enjoy her performance. We had to buy our own tickets to the show, and I'm super excited to watch her. But we all got this email, and the performance is next Thursday, Saturday. Thursday through Saturday. Hello, parents of our lovely dancers. This is a follow-up regarding our need for chaperones for the upcoming performance. Several classes still do not have the required number of adult volunteers, and without those positions filled, those groups cannot be cleared to perform. Chaperones are a necessary part of these productions. They are required to keep the dancers safe, organized, and where they need to be throughout the show. If your dancer is performing and you have not yet signed up, please take a moment to do so today so that we can finalize the backstage assignments. Please do not wait until the last minute to sign up. We rely on parent participation to support the directors and backstage team so that we can run the show efficiently and without delays. I'm kind of shocked at how they are handling this because at another dance studio, not ballet, for the recitals, they would ask the parents to volunteer, and if they didn't get enough volunteers, a week or two before the performance, they would hire people to come in to be chaperones. That way the kids would be taken care of. I'm very upset that the ballet studio is not doing that. I don't really appreciate the fact that they are threatening our kids not to perform because they're relying solely on volunteers and not putting money out to get chaperones. We want to enjoy the performance and already bought our tickets a month ago. Again, is volunteering, and if they don't have enough, that's their problem, and our girls should not be punished for that. Am I the jerk? Let me clarify. My daughter is only doing one performance because they are the littlest dancers. There are 4 kids in her class, including her, so there's not that many parents to choose from. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. The absurdity of asking you to volunteer after you've paid for tickets. Like, if they needed volunteers, they should have said that before tickets went on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I feel like I've never done like all my extracurriculars were through the public school, so no one paid anything for them. But I can't imagine if you're paying for dance, then also having to pay to see your kids perform. Like, that seems pretty bogus in its own right. But then to top it off, being like, oh yeah, you already paid for your ticket, but now also you can volunteer instead of watching your kids, so pay for the privilege of volunteering.
Yeah.
Or your kid can't perform.
Well, I see. The thing is, like, I've read a lot of comments, and apparently it's very common in ballet for the parents to volunteer, and that's certainly fine, right? But I think that needs to be an expectation that is laid out well in advance so that the parents know what to expect, and they need to not make it voluntary. They need to make it like a mandatory part of the program. If your child is in ballet, then you need to volunteer at X number of events or something like that, right? And that's really what I think it needs to boil down to. Emailing the parents ahead of time, a week ahead of time, being like, we're going to cancel the events if you don't volunteer. That's not fair to the parents. That's not fair to the people who are buying the tickets. It really seems like a very messy and disorganized system. And I think that the dance studio needs to get their act together is really what it boils down to. Again, I don't have a problem with mandating that the parents have to volunteer, right? But where I do kind of have a problem is that them saying this a week ahead of time and not making it abundantly clear that it was a requirement of having a child at their dance studio.
Well, and also before tickets are sold, because if
Yeah.
you're volunteering, you shouldn't be paying for a ticket. Like, that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. But what do the comments have to say?
So Jada says, "Not the jerk. This place is so disorganized." And then Mary says, Not the jerk exactly, Amber. That should have been established before ticket sales. If they cancel the performance, is the ballet studio prepared for the migration to a rival program?"
I would hope they would expect that would be the case,
Well,
because
it just sounds like they're trying to like emotionally blackmail the parents into volunteering.
well, it does feel that way. Like, oh, you wouldn't want to watch your kid not perform, would you? Right? I mean, that's like almost mafia type of. You wouldn't want to end up with broken legs now, would you?
Oh, your kid has been hyped for this for weeks.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to we're gonna have to crush their heart if you don't volunteer.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I just feel again like this is just not a organized situation at all. But speaking of organized situation, am I a jerk for being upset that my husband's family refuses to spend any holidays at our new house? So my husband and I bought our first house earlier this year, and we were so excited to finally have a space to host and start our own holiday traditions with our kids, 2 and 6. I love hosting, and this is the first time that we've actually had room for everyone. So I was really looking forward to taking on holidays. We moved in over the summer, so I suggested hosting Thanksgiving. My family agreed immediately. Then we asked my husband's family, his mom and sister and her boyfriend. His dad passed away 8 years ago, and he was always the main holiday host. So I thought that it would be meaningful for us to take over that role. Well, his sister declined because she always goes to their cousin's house for Thanksgiving. They cook and shop the day before, and she said that it's a tradition that she's not going to give up. His mom also chose to go to that cousin's house, so Thanksgiving ended up just being my family. The cousin has always invited us to her holiday gatherings, but we never really went, as we usually went to my family's events instead. We just never, oops, sorry about that. We just never never built that type of close bond with her. Now we're planning Christmas. Since his family spent Thanksgiving with the cousin, I figured that Christmas would be at our house. My family is already coming Christmas Day, so we asked his mom and sister if they wanted Christmas Eve or Christmas Day with us. They immediately said no to Christmas Eve because they spent every Christmas Eve at their dad's brother's house and for their entire life. And that's not changing because her dad is gone. Okay, well, we suggested Christmas Day, and again they said no, that they're going to the same cousin's house for Christmas Day too. My husband finally asked why they don't want to spend the holidays with us or the kids, and his mom said it's because we don't invite the cousin and her kids. Well, she recently got divorced and is a single mom now, and also bought her own house this year to start over. Everyone is rallying around her, which I understand, but she has always been the popular, pretty cousin, and she is successful career-wise, very pretty, and somehow always seems to get better everything else than my husband, and never really got close with her. Since my husband's dad died, his mom and sisters have spent almost every major holiday with his cousin. It became their holiday routine, and they've never really broken out of it. We don't dislike her as a person, we're just not that close to her, and we don't feel comfortable hosting to somebody who makes us feel so insecure. So we didn't invite her because we wanted to start a tradition with just his close family and mine. But because we're not inviting her, his mom and sister are not coming over to any holiday at our new home. Not even one. My husband is hurt and I'm frustrated. We're trying to build our own traditions for our kids. And it feels like his family just won't be part of them unless we include someone we barely even see. So they will not be a part of our traditions. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, you're the jerk here. It sounds like this is literally just you being petty. You are insecure because the cousin is popular and pretty, and you want to basically push her out so you can be like the top person. And that's really petty, you know? Like, it would not hurt you to invite the cousin. It sounds like you have the space and the time, and it's literally just, well, she makes us insecure, so we don't want her here.
Well, I could understand this a little bit more if the cousin refused to invite OP over to the family gatherings and was being like mean and bullying and spiteful and stuff like that. And then I could see it a little bit more and being like, well, of course they wouldn't want to invite somebody over to their house who's bullying them, right? But the fact of the matter is that they barely know this person
Mm-hmm.
and they're refusing to invite them because it sounds like they're just jealous,
Yeah, well,
right?
exactly. It doesn't sound like the cousin is actively doing anything to hurt them, that just by existing as someone who is pretty and
Yeah,
successful, that OP and her husband don't want to be around her.
yeah,
And like, that's fine. They can host who they want at their house, but they can't force OP's husband's family to ditch the cousin on Christmas.
yeah.
Like, it seems like they have no regard for how the cousin feels. They're just like, we want the tradition the way we want the tradition. And it's like, when you have multiple other people involved, you can't force them into your tradition.
Yeah, well, and I also kind of want to point out that, again, like the cousin's inviting them
Mm-hmm.
despite barely knowing them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the cousin is opening up their home to them,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not reciprocated on OP's part. Now, it would be understandable for them to say, oh, thank you, cousin, for the invite. We have other plans that we already made other commitments, and sorry, you know? But the fact is, like, it just is just so short-sighted. All they need to do to get other people to come to their house is literally invite the cousin, and they
Mm-hmm.
just can't do that, which I just don't understand, right?
Yeah,
So now
like,
they're out here complaining about it.
well, yeah, I feel like the husband's family is doing the right thing by
Yeah,
standing by the cousin and
yeah,
not just ditching her to kowtow to OP's feelings.
exactly. But what do the comments have to say?
So Mary says, you're the jerk. OP can't complain if they never showed the same consideration for hubby's family. Time for a little reflection. Sounds like OP has set a tradition of being a no-show themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jada says, you're the jerk. OP is jealous AF.
Speaking of being jealous, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for asking my sister-in-law to stop using my photos for her business page? My sister-in-law runs a small baking business and she always needs content for her social media page. One day, she saw that the way that I arranged food at a family gathering and asked if she could take photos. I said sure at the time because it felt innocent. A few days later, I saw those photos posted as if they were her own creations. She even added captions describing how she baked everything herself. I confronted her gently, and she said that it was only for inspiration and that I should be proud to help. Last week, she uploaded more pictures of items that I cooked for a potluck, but again presented them as her own products. I told her that she had to remove them. She got upset and said that her page is her livelihood and that I was making things harder by nitpicking details. My brother told me to let it go because she is stressed. I felt uncomfortable having my work used to promote a business that I did not agree to support. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. This is not nitpicking details. She is stealing your work and presenting it as her own.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if, well, first of all, you should ask for permission generally to use people's stuff, but like if she was like, here's some inspiration from OP and gave proper credit. But no, she is captioning this as if she did it and passing it off as her own work and stealing the accolades.
Mm-hmm.
You're well within your right to tell her to take them down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's really the crux of the matter here. I think that this is kind of like plagiarism,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, this certainly isn't her own work, and she's playing it off as her own work, and that's not ethical, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we've established for a long time that this is an unethical type of thing, right?
Right. Well, and she's misleading her audience.
Yeah. So I just don't know. I think that OP has every right to demand that she take down these photos, or call her out and say, if you don't take them down, I'm going to start commenting on your page about how they're not yours, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you can try reporting them to the social media sites, but
Yeah.
that doesn't always work out. But yeah, definitely let people know that this is not her work.
Yeah.
And because it misleads her audience. Like, what if someone wants her to bake this thing and, it's not going to be the exact same thing because she didn't make it. Or
yeah.
someone's trying to follow her instructions for how she makes things. Or,
Oh, and that's a good point too. Like if it's actually deceptive and leading people astray. But what do the comments have to say?
So Jada says, not the jerk, this is plagiarism. And Mary says, not the jerk, future customers are going to be greatly disappointed when sister-in-law can't produce the same results.
It's like we are reading people's minds. We're all on the same wavelength. Speaking of being on the same wavelength, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for preventing my daughter from getting a driver's license? Somebody who is completely on the wrong wavelength. I'm an Indian dad, and maybe I'm thinking too old-fashionedly, but I'm only trying to keep my daughter safe. My daughter is 30. She left for the UK when she was 18 for study and then worked there as a software engineer. Now she has come back to India because she wants to start a business here. She says that if it works, she may stay here, and if it fails, she'll go back. So either way, she is chilled. So she got a British citizenship and an OCI. Occupational something? I don't know what that is. Here is where the issues begin. She wants to drive here, and I told her that driving in India is not at all like the UK. Our traffic is unpredictable, and honestly, for women, it's not the safest. It requires a high level of skill and space awareness to squeeze everywhere and keep traffic flow. She has enough money to keep a driver like most women do here. So I told her why is she taking unnecessary risk? But she keeps saying that she needs independence and all that. Needs privacy in her car, etc. So I did something that may be a little extreme, but in my mind is for her own good. I know someone in the test center. So I told him to, make sure that she doesn't pass until she understands the danger properly and gives them some money. She's already failed 5 times, so now somehow she found out about this and is extremely angry, saying that she will go to a different test center and not tell me which one. I feel like this is completely illogical because she is only making things more unsafe. Also, she doesn't understand how accidents happen here. Small accidents are very common, and people don't bother with insurance unless something is huge. Most times, arguments happen on the road itself. It can get very hostile. For example, last year, some girl, maybe 22, suddenly braked because she wanted to take a turn, and I was driving normally, not even fast, but she just stopped like that, and my car touched hers from behind. Why she had to suddenly brake so suddenly, I don't know. And anyways, on the road, both of us argued a lot, and she was saying that it was my fault, but I told her that she should learn how to signal earlier and properly and not stop in the middle like that. In the end, she agreed to pay everything, so obviously she even realized that she was in the wrong. She went from arrogant to shouting and crying. She went from being arrogant and shouting to crying and admitting wrong. These kinds of things happen all the time, and I don't want my daughter dealing with that. Now she is saying that I'm controlling her life and treating her like a child. I really feel like I'm only doing what any caring father would do here. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Oh my goodness, are you the jerk, OP? You are bribing someone to restrict your daughter's freedom. Your daughter, if she can drive well enough to pass the test, she deserves to have her license.
Mm-hmm.
There's no gender restriction to driving. It's not like if women couldn't pass the driving test, then they wouldn't get licenses. So this is very misplaced and misguided. I understand being concerned for your daughter, but first of all, it sounds like you are a big problem on the road too. He rear-ended this girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, she started crying and agreed to pay the money, maybe because you were berating her.
Yeah,
Here's this adult man berating this young woman.
Yeah.
And
who also happens to blackmail officials.
Yeah. And so she may have backed down out of fear.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really what it boils down to. I love how the example that he used, and I actually wanted to touch on this, is the example where he's the one who made things unsafe and was the one who would be at fault on the situation on the road. This is literally textbook at fault type of thing. You always should give the person ahead of you enough space that they can turn, that you can stop safely, right? But he's instead being like, oh, this was her fault because she didn't signal early enough. Well, it doesn't matter. You're still at fault. You should have had enough time to slow down and stop. So the flimsiest of excuses here is just absurd to such a and then the audacity that he sat there and bullied this poor girl to pay up because she probably thought she was at fault. And if she didn't have insurance, then she wouldn't have been able to have the insurance on her side or anything like that to help with mediate the situation. But the insurance would have had him, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think this is very telling. Like the way he behaves, he expects every other driver, male driver on the road, to be like him. And
Yeah.
since he harasses and bullies women, he doesn't want his daughter being subjected to that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like maybe examine your own actions and behaviors, OP, and be the kind of person you'd want other drivers to be like.
Yeah. I mean, how would he feel if somebody did that to his daughter? I mean, honestly, I don't think he would care. Just the kind of the callousness that I'm getting
Well, I think
from
that's why
this.
because he that's why he's bribing officials to keep her from driving. If
Yeah.
he, but it's you can't clip your daughter's wings. You know,
Yeah.
um, you should work toward making if you do think it's such an issue, then work toward making the road safer.
Yeah.
Advocate for safety requirements. Learn how to drive yourself.
Yeah. But what do the comments have to say here?
So Jada says, "You're the jerk. OP is one of those people who force the glass ceiling on women even when they have potential. Manipulative and controlling AF. I hope the daughter escapes this man." And then Mary says, "You're the jerk. OP is suggesting that the daughter bribe authorities. He's kind of lost the high ground there."
I know, but I mean, that's what he does. So it makes perfect sense why you would have bribed the authorities. Speaking of bribing the authorities, am I the jerk for pointing out to my wife that we don't have to spend every minute of our vacation together? Yes, this is the perfect segue, and I think it works. I'm a 37-year-old male, and me and my wife ended up in jail while we were, going over to our trip. And then I bribed the people to let me out, but I didn't let her out. So, I'll actually read the real thing now. I'm a 37-year-old male, and my wife, a 37-year-old female, go on 3 trips per year. Just by ourselves, right now, we're on one of those. So since we got here Friday, I'll admit that I've mostly loaded my own day doing stuff. My wife, on the other hand, tags along sometimes, but is fine with watching TV in the hotel instead. We leave tomorrow, and my wife has been saying that I barely spend any time with her, but at the same time, I don't want to lay in bed for 3 hours every morning. She was packing up a little bit this morning, and she was talking about how coming here was a waste of money because we didn't do much together. I pointed out just because we were here together doesn't mean that we have to spend every minute together. That made her feel even more mad. She is currently sleeping on the very edge of the bed. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, it sounds like you didn't plan anything to do with her. You had your own itinerary and just left her in the hotel room. There might be things that she would like to do that she just doesn't feel comfortable doing on her own in an unfamiliar place. Before going on a trip the next time, plan an itinerary that has things you both can enjoy.
Well,
That,
yeah.
that doesn't mean you can't sometimes do separate things, but especially if you know she doesn't feel comfortable navigating the area on her lonesome, make sure there's plenty of activities for her that you both can do together so she can feel safe and not be stuck in a hotel room by herself all day.
Well, I mean, I think that's a lot of it there, right? I mean, this is one of those situations where it would be fine if they were both interested in that kind of vacation, right? But this is clearly like a mismatch in expectations about what a vacation is. And certainly, like, if he wants to go and fill his day with certain things, then that's fine, right? And it sounds like she enjoys, kind of having a staycation-y type of situation too. But it sounds like she may not be content with that and that she does want to do things, but she can't do those things because he's away doing things all day long,
Yeah, well,
right?
that's what I think the biggest issue is here is it's not clear to me that she actually wants to lay in bed all day.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe she is a later riser than OP, and like so he might be able to go out and do his own thing for a few, and then come back and get her, and they can do things together. But it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like he just leaves first thing in the morning and is out the door and doesn't bother with her at all.
Yeah, I just think that they need to sit down and actually communicate about what their expectations for vacations are going to be and how to make sure that those happen, right?
Yeah, find some joint activities they both will enjoy. And OP should learn to compromise and do some things together, even if it's not his favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, but what do the comments have to say?
So Mary says, "You're the jerk. Here's a wild thought. How about sitting down and discussing plans together?"
Yeah, I know, I know.
Novel idea there.
Novel idea. Speaking of novel ideas, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to take a wedding photo? I'm a 30-year-old male, and I'm a wedding photographer, and a good one. I was hired for last weekend to do a wedding, and it was a lavish one. I was one of 3 photographers hired, and I was told my main job was to photograph the groom, I think late 20s, his groomsmen, and the groom's family. They had 2 photographers to photograph the bride's side. Prior to agreeing to do this wedding, I always ask the standard questions, such as, what kind of special photos do you want? The groom seemed low maintenance and his family was small, but him and the groomsmen were all very close from their frat days, and he wanted to take a lot of photos with them. That seemed pretty standard to me. After we've done what I consider a lot, I asked if there's anything special that they wanted before we wrapped up. One of them brought up getting their rush photo, and the groom immediately agreed. To my surprise, the groom and 5 of the groomsmen all started removing their pants right on the lawn in the venue. I asked what was happening, and the groomsman took out his phone and showed me a photo of them in college during what looked like hazing, where they all had to lap around the university in boxers. Apparently, all of their weddings that they've been to like to recreate this photo by taking pictures of just their dress shirts, jackets, ties, and boxers and underwears. Well, I immediately shut it down. Not only is this tacky, but we were on the lawn. Granted, the only people around were the staff. This was hours before the wedding, before the bride and groom even got their first look. But I do a lot of work at this venue, and I wanted to keep a good relationship. And lastly, I just felt uncomfortable. If I was told this when I asked for special requests, I would have denied the wedding as I get enough work. The groom looked kind of mad, and I ended up getting an email from him and the bride saying that while they were thankful for the rest of the photos, they were disappointed that their needs were not met. Am I the jerk for refusing to take this photo? All right, folks, what do you think?
I have mixed feelings on this one. Like, I do think that the groom should have included it in his shot list. You know, your photographer asks you for a shot list for a reason, so they can make sure to get all the photos you want. And if there's a photo that you specifically want and it's not on there, then to a degree, it's your fault for not getting it. But also, I feel like it would have been such a small thing to accommodate. Like, it's not like it was full nudity or anything. Boxers are not that different from shorts.
Yeah,
And so
or
that's,
beachwear, you know.
yeah, and it's not like they were at like a public crowded space where, or something like that. So I feel like OP's like, well, I don't want to damage the relationship with the venue, but I don't know that getting a picture of the groomsmen and groom being silly is going to really damage that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of mixed feelings on this one as well. I mean, I think that this is one of those situations where there should have been more communication ahead of time, and that could have gone a long way towards making all parties happy. And I mean, I think that OP needs to be very clear in his expectations about what he will and won't photograph. And if that's made very abundantly clear in like his page, then no one can be like, oh, we're disappointed that you didn't do X, Y, and Z, right? Because like he's already made it very clear that this is not something that he would be willing to do. So,
yeah, and I mean that might be a good thing going forward to put in the contracts specifically. I will not shoot any underwear photography. And I understand why that may not have occurred to him because this wasn't like a boudoir shoot. This was, a wedding where people generally don't have their underwear out. But.
Yeah. And what do the comments have to say?
Mary says, please tell me the venue was not a church. If the groom side wants this rush photo, there must have been an accommodating guest with a cell phone. That is the thing I was wondering about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good point, right?
But it sounds like it was only the groomsmen there. And if it was and OP, so they would have to ask venue staff, which could have been awkward.
Yeah. Speaking of being awkward, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for being frustrated that my mom used my emergency funds without telling me? So, I'm 22 and I still live with my mom while finishing school. I pay rent and utilities, and I've been slowly saving what I call my life buffer in a small locked box in my closet. It's not a lot, but it's a safety net. This morning, I opened it up to add money, and almost half of it was missing. I genuinely thought that I was losing my mind until my mom admitted that she took it 2 weeks ago to cover a shortfall. She said that she planned to put it back, but hasn't been able to do so yet. She told me that I should just be proud that I was able to help. I wasn't even angry at first, I was confused. But then she told me that I was ungrateful for being upset since she raised me. I told her that it wasn't about money, it was the fact that she took it without saying anything. She insists that I'm blowing it out of proportion because families share. But this was literally my emergency fund, and I never would have said no if she had asked. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, definitely not the jerk your mom stole from you. OP, I would recommend trying to get things in place to live on your own. Your mom seems like a manipulative person. You should be able to say no to family and to have things like Opie is just like, oh, well, I would have said yes. You don't have to say yes to your mom. You know, your mom is an adult. She can handle her own finances.
Mm-hmm.
She has no right, though, to steal yours. She stole this money from you. Taking your money, even if she planned on paying it back without you knowing, is theft. And I don't trust that she planned on paying it back, but even if she did, it's still theft.
Yeah, I mean, theft is theft, and I think that's really what it boils down to. I mean, I think that OP shouldn't have to deal with someone who's going to steal from them. But what did the comments have to say?
Mary says, not the jerk. Maybe it's time for a bank account.
Yeah, I mean, a bank account would be a good place to do that. And I think Jada also
Oh,
had
yeah.
one.
And Jada said, not the jerk. She stole OP's money point blank.
Yeah. Speaking of theft, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for letting my friend borrow a tampon that I didn't buy? This is the most bizarre situation that I have literally ever been in, and more that I think about it, the more I start to overthink. I'm a 19-year-old female, and I live in a dorm with my roommate, Alyssa, a 19-year-old female. We have a bathroom inside of our dorm. Basically, I had my friend Claire, a 19-year-old female, over today, and we were just hanging out in the common area. Alyssa wasn't there. So Claire goes to use the bathroom, and 5 minutes later, she texts me and says that she started her period and asks if I could borrow a tampon, which is right next to the toilet on the shelf that Alyssa and I built. I told her, of course. I thought absolutely nothing of this because I'm normal until Alyssa gets back to the dorm and goes to the bathroom. She immediately comes back out and asks me if I got off the depot shot, which I was confused about, and I told her no. For reference, I'm on the depot shot, which is a method of birth control, so I don't get any normal forms of periods. Therefore, I don't need period products. Anyways, Alyssa huffs and looks concerned and says that one of her tampons are missing. I was very taken aback, and I told her that I let my friend use one earlier. Alyssa immediately started giving me this condescending speech about how I always should ask before I give away her items that she paid for, and I had no right to offer one of my friends without letting her know. I thought this was ridiculous, so I said something to this effect. You bought those products for both of us and used before I got it on and used to use before I got the shot. I guarantee your friends that you have invited over have used them before at some point. I'm not going to tell my friend that she's forbidden from borrowing a tampon when she starts her period outside of the dorm. Outside of her dorm. Well, in literally every other scenario, I would never allow my friends to borrow something of my roommates or allow them to borrow something that just isn't mine, especially without asking for permission. But oh my goodness, they're period products. I understand that they're expensive. I understand that she bought them, but telling my friend Claire, no, you can't borrow a tampon, is absurd. After the ordeal, I went to the bathroom to see how many products were left because I assumed by how Alyssa's reaction that they were running low. Nope, the basket was full and she hadn't even filled it. Anyways, ever since this happened earlier, I've been overthinking and have actually questioned if I was the jerk or not. Does this make me a careless roommate and friend/person? Did I overstep? If I had owned any of the products at the moment, I would have just given mine to Claire, but I don't. Am I the jerk? Edit to add, forgot to mention, I did offer to buy a box of tampons, and that did not seem to help. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, because this was an emergency situation. Like, in general, you shouldn't take other people's stuff, but the fact that OP is willing to replace, like, it's a tampon, they're interchangeable. As long as OP was willing to replace with the exact same brand, then I don't really see an issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a tiny bit conflicted in the respect that Claire took the time to text OP to ask, and it wouldn't have taken that much effort for OP to text their roommate to ask, right? So I think it's a little bit of a chain, but I understand also why OP was like, of course, you can take this, right? Or these are supplies that are,
This is kind of like pitched as a communal thing. Like, it sounds like OP was using the tampons too before they went on the shot, so it probably didn't even occur to OP that you would have to ask.
Yeah, I mean, if they were communal, then I can understand that. And like the thing is, like, I think the roommate is being a little bit extreme here, and especially since OP offered to pay for them, I think that the roommate was just taken aback more than anything, and then offering to pay back after the fact, I think probably made them upset, right? But I mean, I think that maybe the way to kind of avoid this situation is for OP to have their own, tampon stash for the future, just
Yeah.
in case friends of theirs come over. That way, it just reduces the amount of friction
Mm-hmm.
that is potentially going to occur. So, doesn't hurt, right? But what do the comments have to say?
Mary says, I wonder if the problem would have been avoided if Opie had warned Rumi ahead of time that the tampon had been given out. But yeah, it's an emergency situation, so not the jerk.
Yeah, if they had, when the roommate had come home, been like, oh, by the way, my friend came over and used one of the tampons, I'll pay you back, would have probably diffused the situation ahead of time. But yeah, let's go into tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. Amber, she has a joke.
Yes, from the Ultimate Joke Challenge. I told my doctor that I broke my arm in 2 places. She told me to stop going to those places.
Yeah, I mean, if you do break your arm in 2 places, I would totally not go to those places if I were you, right? Well, unless it's like judo. Like if you're going to judo practice and you break your arm, then maybe like that's kind of part of the territory. I don't know.
I don't know anything about judo, but I would assume that you shouldn't be breaking bones generally.
Not if you're not trying hard enough.
And it looks like we're unanimous. We're all staying home for New Year's Eve.
I'm not surprised. Well, I mean, like going out for New Year's is such a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah, well, so much traffic and so
Hmm.
many crowds, and it's freezing cold.
And then people drinking and
Yeah.
driving and all kinds of things
Yeah,
here,
well, not want to be on the road with people who are drunk driving.
Yeah, I mean, I've the thing is like sometimes people just act very irresponsibly, and I mean, I just don't necessarily have the patience for that. So, yeah. And yeah, I've got some tea here. You can guess what it is if you want, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong or whatever. But we also have like 3 stories left to read. So,
Yes, we have some relatively wholesome stories saved for the end.
hmm
A nice.
yeah, I wasn't supposed to read those additional stories, but I was like, I'm gonna read some additional stories here because they were short. I was like, I can get through them fast. So, ooh, Mary guesses special guest tea, and you have English breakfast tea. But English breakfast tea is always a tasty tea. And I actually have the matcha tea, so you're correct, Mary. I do have the special guest tea. It's very green. I don't know if you can see how green the tea is. Maybe slightly green. I mean, maybe you can slightly see that. There you go. Now you can see how definitely green my green tea is. It looks like I'm actually drinking like plants.
Pond water.
Yeah, pond water. And this isn't green. By green tea, I mean I've gone down to the swamp and I'm scooping it out of the pond water. This is what I drink. A little slime, right? Yes. Speaking of drinking slime, oh, I have to switch back over to this thing. Our next letter is titled, Today I messed up by bringing a good dish to Thanksgiving once, and now it's my job. A couple of years ago, I think like 2 years ago, I needed to bring something to Thanksgiving and at my aunt's house, and I simply Googled easy impressive dish and made this bacon wrapped jalapeno thing. It took me like 20 minutes. Well, everyone lost their minds. My uncle said that it was the best thing that he's ever eaten. People asked for the recipe, and I felt like a master chef. Now, I have to make them at every single gathering. I don't even really like them anymore. I've made hundreds of those things. But I can't stop now. Last year, I said that I might bring something different, and my aunt said, no, 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 no. Everyone looks forward to your jalapenos. And my uncle looked at me like I had threatened to cancel the holiday. Well, I am about to make like 40 of them for Christmas. I just realized what I have gotten myself into. I will forever be the holiday gathering jalapeno guy. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, it's kind of wholesome that OP is able to provide this for the family. It sounds like even though they don't like it anymore, they're not too begrudging of this. So hopefully, if OP really wanted to stop, the family would, someone else would take on the recipe.
No, they won't. I mean, once you've gotten yourself into the recipe making, there's no going back.
I mean, Brian's in that camp. He's forever the cook at all the family gatherings.
Oh, I don't mind either,
No.
too, right? Because cooking is like such a nice little way to get away from everything. You
But
can be
Brian,
like, I'm cooking. I'm doing the important thing here.
Yeah, well, we had my family over for Christmas morning, and Brian made us grilled cheese and corn chowder, and everyone was raving about his food.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people seem to like it, but I mean, the bread, fresh bread, like that's one of those ones that people really enjoy and
Mm-hmm.
love and stuff like that. And fresh soup and meals and stuff like that, people always seem to enjoy. So, what did Mary have to say here?
Aunt spends hours on the perfect turkey, and the best thing they've ever eaten is bacon jalapenos. Poor Auntie.
I think that's a good point.
Well, but you can't beat junk food. You can't eat like the appetizers, the snacks, like anything. I mean, I don't like jalapenos, but like if there are mozzarella sticks or some kind of like cheese finger foods, like that's gonna be the best part of the meal for me.
hmm Well, I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, this snack is so good." And it's like, snacky, very snacky. Those are always nice to have those kinds of snacky things. Speaking of good things, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for wanting to keep $2,500 that was anonymously left on our porch after we had twins?" Well, last year, my husband, a 35-year-old, and I, a 30-year-old, decided to have a third and final baby. Our other kids were 4 and 18 months at the time. In March, we found out that I was pregnant with twins. It threw us for a huge loop. We were not expecting or wanting a fourth baby. My husband is a school teacher and I'm a nurse. We decided after the babies came that I would work once a day, I would work 1 day a week on my husband's days off and stay home with the kids. Daycare for 3 kids is too expensive, and we don't have anyone capable to watch 2 babies and a toddler while I work. Well, fast forward to this fall, we welcomed 2 healthy boys and are so in love with them. Delivery went great, but one baby had to stay 48 hours in the NICU. Many family members, my friends, and community members have sent us diapers, baby gear, or straight up cash. It has been so helpful. While I have saved everything for my other babies, we needed twice the amount of clothes and diapers and double every baby item like crib, car seat, etc. It's now Christmas Eve, and someone left $2,500 cash anonymously on our porch. We have no idea where it came from. We have no clues other than our security footage of a young girl in a ski mask dropping it off on the porch and giggling as she ran away. Reverse robbery, bank robbery. The driver sent her back because she forgot to ring the doorbell. So she ran back, rang the doorbell, and raced back to the truck and they drove off. License plates can't be seen. My husband is upset and thinks that we need to find another family to give it to. He says there are people in far worse situations than us, which is true. We live in a nice house and have a stable job and already have received so much help. We do have a small emergency savings as well. We have worked so hard to have minimal debt and minimal bills. I think that we should keep it. We are waiting for insurance to cover the $24,000 in NICU bills, but we are still responsible for $10,000 deductibles. When I go back to work, money will be tight. We will have to be very strict in budgeting and spending. $2,500 will help us not dip into our emergency savings as much. Am I the jerk for saying that we should keep it for the family? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. This person wanted to do this specifically for you. This money was intended to help you and your family in your time of need.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the thing is like there's always someone who is more in need for the most part. Like it's hard, you can't really rank suffering in needs like that. So if Opie and her husband, once they get more financially stable, I think it would be a great thing to find ways to pay it forward. Not necessarily like give someone $2,500 because that's a lot, but there's all kinds of ways you can do nice gestures to
Yeah.
help others out.
Well, that's just it. Is later on, when they are doing much better for themselves and more stable, they can always pay it forward to, make sure that other people get some kind of like, help or something like that. And so I think like paying it forward is the kind of gift that will keep on giving, right? But what do the comments have to say?
So Mary says, not the jerk. Someone wanted to do a good deed. Opie should just print out a huge thank you banner on their garage.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea. I like that a lot. Speaking of ideas that I like a lot, our next letter and final letter is
This
titled,
is the perfect segue.
yes, is today I messed up by teaching my nephew the wrong word for penguins. Well, when my nephew was 3, I was babysitting and we were watching a nature documentary. Penguins came on, and I thought that it would be funny to tell him that they were called waddle boys. He's 5 now and still calls them waddle boys. I forgot that I did this. He was with his kindergarten class at the zoo, and apparently he had to school everyone that they are not called penguins, but waddle boys. And he knows this because his uncle told him so. Well, my sister calls me and just says, waddle boys. Mind you, I had totally forgotten until she explained. My nephew is upset because he got laughed at, and my sister is mad. My nephew now thinks that I lied to him, which I guess I did. And although what surprised me the most is that he even remembered. Well, anyways, now I'm just the uncle who lies for no reason. All right, folks, what do you think of that?
I mean, I think just Opie needs to have a little sit down with the nephew and apologize to him and just explain that you thought Waddle Boys was a cool name for them.
Yeah, well, I think like if OP explains that they were just playing around and that they didn't mean any harm, then that's going to be something that goes a long way. And actually, I think that it's good for kids to realize early on that maybe not adults might not always know what they're talking about or whatnot, because kids from a very early age are sometimes believe that adults always know what's best and always tell the truth and always say what's right, right? And that's just not always true, right? So I think that this is an important lesson for the kid to know that maybe adults, maybe to question sometimes that if something doesn't make sense, right? But I think that apologizing and explaining that they didn't mean to hurt the nephew or deceive them will go a long way here. But what do the comments have to say?
Mary says, LOL, in the future there will be about 22 grown-ups still referring to the Waddle Boys at the zoo.
Well, I think it's a fun name. I like it a lot. But speaking of which, it's the outro time here. So thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't update this sheet thing yet. So the next live stream is going to be on January 30th. So let me update that real quick. So
2026 will be in the new year.
Yeah, we will be in the new year. January, if I can spell correctly, I don't know if I've spelled that right, even though I probably did. 2026. Let's see. There you go, folks. January 30th, 2026. So I can't believe it's 2026 already. Let's go back to the 90s. But thanks everyone for watching. It was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. And yeah, if you're watching in the future, I hope you enjoyed.
That reminds me of what you just said. There, I think it was, I don't remember who did it, but I saw this meme that was like, instead of the new year, I'm tired of New Year's. Can't we just have a gently used year, like a
yeah.
1995 or maybe a 2003 or something like that? I'm messing up the meme, but it's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, Mary. We had a lot of fun. We appreciated you being here. Always enjoy reading your comments. Thank you, Jada. We enjoyed reading your comments as well, and thanks for joining us. And thank you, Ron, for joining us. And Sweet Memories also thanks you for joining us. And anyone else who didn't chat, we also appreciate you joining us here. So we all hope you have a safe and happy, wonderful new year.
Yes, happy new year.
Yes. So take care, and I guess we'll see you all later.
Bye.
Bye. See you in 2026. Yes. So now I get to juggle for the next 30 seconds or so until like people file off or something like that. I'll pretend to be like still like a statue. No, I'm still here, but I'm going away. Whoa. Going away now. I thought you liked this thing.
I do, but they just wanted to come give you a hug.
All right.